Rachel and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have my January plan with me, which is super exciting, so let's just get into it. Okay, hey guys, I know once again my plan with me is coming out late. I'm really sorry. It's just been challenging. Honestly, the biggest challenge I had this month was because of a storage issue, and it was hard for me to figure out how I was going to export it because it wasn't working. It ended up working today, so I'm super happy that I'm able to share my January plan with me with you guys today. It isn't the best thing I think I've ever made, but I still think that it turned out pretty good. So yeah, the first thing I did in this January plan with me is I put some tape all around the edges. I've done this so many times. It basically just makes sure that it's like a very clean edge on your pages, and I personally just really like it. It's also very satisfying to peel up. And this I filmed a really long time ago, and I'm basically just making an ocean at the bottom, and I was thinking I really wanted to try and use a plastic bag technique with watercolor, where you use a plastic bag and then you just press it on there, and it's supposed to make it look kind of crinkly and add texture to it. It ended up not working, so I didn't use it that much, but yeah, basically on the right it's supposed to look like an iceberg. And that's what the kind of cloud looking thing is. Whenever I show it to people, they're like, oh, is that a cloud? No, it's actually an iceberg it's supposed to be. But it didn't turn out the best. So on the left, for whatever reason, it skipped a long time. I really don't know why, but basically I just used watercolor and I kind of made it go from light on the top left to light on the bottom right, and then dark in the middle. And I used some salt to add a little bit of a texture on the watercolor because the salt basically absorbs the water. And it kind of worked. You can see I kind of spilled the salt, but it kind of worked. It didn't work as well as I thought it was going to, but I still think that it did something, so it was kind of cool. And then I'm making a kind of like pattern with like shapes and triangles. So you can't see it until I put the dust on it because I'm using this glue pen, which I definitely recommend. I'll definitely put the link in the description down below for this pen because I really like this one. It works very well, and the glue sticks to it, or the glue, it's very gluey so that the embossing dust can stick to it. And I used kind of a mixture. I actually had some dust left over from last time, which had a mix of white, a little bit of black, and some glitter to it. So because of that, it was mostly white, but so because of that I just used it there because it is also helping the planet by, just being sustainable by reusing it. So I thought that was good, I guess, just so that I wouldn't waste it. And I did also mix the dust that I used, all the dust that I had used from this plan with me all together, so it's just like a blue and white dust mix into a little bag. So I may use that later. I'm not really sure exactly what I'd use it for, but it's cool and fun to have, I guess. And the quote I did is, there is no planet B, and this quote is basically supposed to talk about how we only have one planet to live on, and we can't just say, okay, if we mess up this planet, we can just go to the next one. There's no planet that we can just go and live on that's going to be a replacement or anything like that. So we have to appreciate the planet we have right now. And for the letter B, I used the blue embossing and the white embossing to make it kind of look like it was in, sorry, the door opened for some reason. Kind of looked like it was a planet. So kind of like the water was the blue part, and the ice / the land in Antarctica was the white part. So yeah, and I just used this embossing tool I got a really long time ago, and it just basically heats up this little dust that sticks to the glue, and the dust gets melted into the paper, not into the paper, but like melted so that it sticks on the paper, and it doesn't like come apart, I guess. And then I'm doing the same little pattern on the bottom of the iceberg to kind of make it look like I don't know if you guys, like, the texture of an iceberg is very like geometric. So now I am making a calendar. So once again, I just do a 6x6 stock grid. I find that works best in my bullet journal. I use the ShopAmandaRachLee bullet journal, which I've been really liking. The only thing I'd say is that don't use like paints too much. Like if they're too watery, the paint can sometimes go through the paper. But in general, this paper is really good. And yeah. So yeah, I'm just drawing the calendar, and if you can see, I'm using the glue now, and I'm going to use embossing dust on the calendar, which is kind of cool because it does make it like more three-dimensional, like it's textured now, and you can kind of feel it, like feel the calendar there, and it's kind of cool and like, yeah, different, I guess. So then, once again, I will just use the embossing tool to emboss the entire thing to make it all like lay down. And it's actually really cool to see the embossing tool work, because originally it just kind of looks like a matte dust on the spot where you put it, but then once it like gets melted, it looks very shiny, or at least the ones that I was using look kind of shiny. So it's really cool. Yeah, it looks so funny with me just putting it all around. And then I think I'm just feeling it, and I'm adding the numbers. I used just a normal fine liner to make the numbers, and then I put some tape on top of the spot where I would want the little design to be, and I just made the same design that I did before with kind of an ombre, light to dark, and then adding the geometric pattern on it. So you can see I'm going from light there to dark in the middle, and then I'm going to go from dark in the middle to light on the other side. It was cool. I find it really fun to do things like this where you're just blending colors together and making them look very good in a transition to a different color. I find that really fun and just satisfying, I guess, because I think it looks pretty. The one thing I would say though is using washi tape on top of the embossing, it ended up like flattening one part of it, like the part where it was like in the middle between like near the seam. It ended up flattening that embossing that I had done. I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe I pushed too hard on it, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing that happened, but it's okay. I guess next time I'll just make sure to not put tape on embossing, because I guess it doesn't work very well, and or at least just press very lightly on it. Yeah, and then I decided to add a little penguin on the left side because I thought a penguin would be really cute to have there. So yeah, and then I added salt on the parts where the little boxes as well, because I wanted to add the texture again. And now I'm just doing the same thing where I add the geometric pattern on it, and I'm going to use the embossing tool to just make it all shiny, because that's how it kind of looks once it's embossed. It's really cool, and I think that it's fun to watch it get embossed because it kind of like ripples throughout, so you can kind of see it, like it looks like it's not starting yet, and then all of a sudden it's just like ripples. All of them are getting embossed and all of them are melting together, which is really fun. Yeah, so I think that it's really cool to think about how my bullet journaling has changed throughout the year. And looking back at January last year, I actually did a geometric pattern last year for January as well, although it was circular and it was kind of representing mountains, while this one is representing icebergs and it is a lot more straight lines. But it's actually really different, but also kind of similar in a way, so it's kind of interesting to see that. And I think that if I saw my bullet journal now, last year, I would be really surprised and think that it's really cool. I think that's really fun and different. and I explored a lot, which is really fun also. So yeah, I just added a little penguin on the left. I used the watercolor to add a little bit of yellow, and then I just drew it with an Archer and Olive acrylograph, the dark blue one, and then I put January in the bottom with the embossing tool. So now I'm doing my habit tracker and my brain dump. So if you guys remember, in August, that's actually one of my favorite bullet journal themes that I've ever made. I'll try and link it up in the corner here, the top right corner, the little I button. You'll be able to see my August plan with me. And that one was actually really fun. I used a lot of like going from like a pink color to like a blue color in a sunset, and also just a bunch of fun stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it. And one thing I did is for like my brain dump, I put in the corner, it was like ombre into the page to like a dark color. So I thought I'd do this here too, because I just think it's really pretty. So I did that. It didn't turn out as well as my August one did last year, but I still think it looks pretty. And actually a lot of inspiration this month, I guess. The one on the right, it's kind of inspired by something I did, I think in March last year, where I did a panda and bamboo theme, and I think I put some leaves like this around the edges, and it looked so pretty. I just really think that it's like such a cute pattern, and I want to start incorporating it more because I think it looks so pretty. So I just did that for the habit tracker, and I think it looks pretty nice. So I just did it with the embossing dust, and now I'm just, embossing it over. I feel like with embossing, it does take longer to do it, and the thing is, I've just been having fun with it because it's kind of new for me. Even though I did it before, I haven't done it for a while, since I had gotten it. So I just thought it would be fun to try out, and I've been having a lot of fun actually trying it out and adding it, because it kind of adds texture, which is fun. And then I had another brush, a glue brush, and this one has both a brush side and a tip, a small tip side, and it doesn't work as well as the other glue pen I have, but it still works pretty well. You just have to layer it over, and it's good for trying to do brush lettering, because it does have a brush pen option, but I find that it doesn't work very well. So I kind of on the edge of that one of if I really like it, but I think that it's still a cool pen to have. I would recommend the other one more though, because you can use it as a fine liner to do fake calligraphy if you wanted to do that. And now I am adding some little calendars for my habit tracker. So if you guys haven't seen my habit trackers before, I just make little calendars, as a lot of people do in their habit trackers, and these are just to each track a different habit. For example, making my bed, or flossing, or something like that. And I just use the embossing to make them, so I'm going to add the blue dust once again, and then just wipe it off, and it's going to be like that. Yeah, pretty much. And each day is one doc grid wide. Yeah, it's just pretty fun. I would recommend, with bullet journaling, I find that it may, at the beginning, seem kind of challenging to do all of, the layout stuff and how many dots and stuff. It kind of takes a lot of, mental energy to figure out how many dots you want for each thing. But once you have it, set, you can kind of know where it is because you've done it before, and just look back to your past bullet journal spreads, which I find to be really helpful instead of having to measure it out as much. Just looking back to okay, last week or last month I did something really similar. It's the same amount of dot grids, it should be the same. But yeah, this comes back to my weekly spread, where I do the same thing a lot, where I just put a box in the middle because it's really simple, and I just kind of do a rolling weekly spread. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this January plan with me. You can see on the top there's a little penguin on the iceberg there. It's kind of hard to see. It didn't turn out that well, but it was okay. And then my calendar here was fun to make. I think this one might be one of my favorite spreads I made, is the calendar here, or the brain dump. I think that one looks really pretty too. And here's my weekly spread. Yeah, the weekly spread is just a rolling weekly, so I just put the day, and then I just put all my to-do lists, so it rolls down and I can use up as much space or as little space as I want, which I find really nice. And yeah, if you kind of see the depth of it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye! Okay, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you guys are having a lovely weekend, and bye! Also, it's snowing outside and it's so cool. Yeah, anyway, bye!